There have been plenty of dominant pitchers that have won Cy Young awards in recent history, but in my opinion, there is one that I tend to come back to as one of the greatest what-ifs of the 2000s. That pitcher is Brandon Webb. From 2003 to 2008, Webb was one of the best pitchers in the MLB, but how great exactly was Brandon Webb's short but fulfilling career? Let's take a look at the meteoric rise and the unfortunate downfall of Brandon Webb's Major League Baseball career. Brandon Webb attended the University of Kentucky to pursue baseball. His 1998 season did not go well as he pitched in 19 games, had a 4-5 record, pitched in 70 innings, had an 8.23 ERA, and 47 strikeouts. Webb's second year, he pitched in 15 games in 91 2/3 innings, had a 3-7 record, a 5.69 ERA, and 88 strikeouts. Webb's final year at Kentucky, he had his best season. He went 7-3, pitched in 112 2/3 innings in 18 games, had a 4.55 ERA, and 123 strikeouts. Although his college statistics were not the best, Webb had a lot of raw talent that would guarantee a team would take a chance on him in the 2000 MLB draft. That team would end up being the Arizona Diamondbacks, as they drafted him in the 8th round with the 249th pick. Brandon Webb's main skill set revolved around the sinker, which peaked around 90 miles per hour, a curveball and a changeup, with the latter being his strikeout pitch. This could very well explain why he was picked so late in the draft, as his raw potential and the ability to only throw 3 pitches made his ceiling a back-end starter or a relief pitcher. Brandon Webb's main pitch was the sinker. Webb was a premier ground ball pitcher because of this sinker. During his career, he had one of the best ground ball to fly ball ratios in the game. His ground out percentage was 62.6% when his career was all said and done. Brandon Webb would make his MLB debut in 2003, 3 years after being drafted. He would become the number 3 starter behind the legendary Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. Webb's rookie year would be a blazing start to a promising career, as he would go 10-9 with a 2.84 ERA, pitched in 180 2/3 innings, along with 172 strikeouts. Brandon Webb would ultimately finish 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting behind Dontrelle Willis and Scott Podsednik. I truly believe that Brandon Webb was more deserving of this award than Dontrelle Willis. At the time, voters were more likely to vote for someone based on wins and postseason success, as the Dontrelle-led Marlins would go on to win the World Series that year. By the numbers, Brandon Webb beat Willis in almost every single major statistic, including innings pitched, strikeouts, and ERA. How much better was Webb than Willis in their respective rookie years based on some advanced metrics? One stat you can look at is ERA+. ERA+ is a statistic that adjusts for ballpark effects and league-wide ERA. The scale of ERA+ is 100, which is considered league average. For example, Brandon Webb's ERA+ during his rookie year was 165, which meant Brandon Webb was 65% better than the average pitcher, while Dontrelle Willis was at 127, which is still good, but he would have only been 27% better than the average pitcher. Another stat you can use to compare the two players is WHIP. WHIP is short for walks plus hits per inning. It is a stat used to show how good a pitcher is at limiting base runners. WHIP is calculated by walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. Webb was better at limiting runners on base, as his score was 1.15, while Willis had a 1.28. You can also use an advanced stat such as FIP, which is short for fielding independent pitching. This is a statistic that measures how good a pitcher is, only focusing on outcomes they can control, such as strikeouts, walks, and home runs. Brandon Webb had a FIP of 3.34, which was a little bit better than Willis's 3.45. The last stat I will use to compare them is WAR, which is short for wins above replacement, which is a statistic used to compare a player's total contribution to their team compared to a replacement level bench player. Brandon Webb had a WAR of 6.1, which means he contributed 6.1 more wins to his team as opposed to a replacement player. Dontrelle Willis only had a WAR of 3.9. Based on these stats, I truly believe Brandon Webb should have won the Rookie of the Year award. Willis would go on to become an All-Star, win the World Series, and win the Rookie of the Year voting in a decade where pitching wins mattered a lot more than it does now. Willis edged Webb in pitching wins 14-10, which is a major factor as to why he came away with the Rookie of the Year award. In 2003, the Diamondbacks finished 84-78, placing third in the NL West, missing the playoffs. They had high potential, and fans had a lot to be excited about in Arizona. Brandon Webb's numbers declined in his 2004 sophomore season as the Diamondbacks got significantly worse and finished with a 51-111 record. The Diamondbacks would break down the roster, including trading one of their aces, Curt Schilling, in the offseason. The only saving grace of this season was Randy Johnson having one of his best seasons of his career at 40 years old. Brandon Webb, on the other hand, would have major control issues as he led the league in walks with 119 and led the league in losses with 16. On the bright side, Webb had a 3.59 ERA, 164 strikeouts, an ERA plus of 128, and 3.2 wins above replacement. The following year, Brandon Webb showed flashes of his potential as he had better control of his pitches, only walking 59 batters this time around. He finished his third season with a 14-12 record, a 3.54 ERA, 172 strikeouts, and 229 innings pitched. In 2006, Brandon Webb finally arrived and became the ace the Diamondbacks had hoped for as he broke out for a 16-8 record, a 3.10 ERA, and 178 strikeouts. Webb became an All-Star for the first time in his career and would win the 2006 NL Cy Young Award for Best Pitcher. At the time, Brandon Webb would have the lowest number of wins for any starting pitcher to ever win the Cy Young Award, which was a big deal, as in 2006, voters would still have an over-reliance on pitching wins to determine how good a pitcher really was. In 2007, Brandon Webb would once again have a great year and went on to become an All-Star for the second time and finish second in Cy Young voting to Jake Peavy. Webb finished the season with an 18-10 record, a 3.01 ERA, 194 strikeouts, and pitched in 236 and a third innings. During the season, Webb would have a then-team record 42-inning scoreless streak that included 3 shutouts. Webb would have his only taste of postseason baseball in his career this season, as the D-backs would go 90-72, finishing first in the NL West. Webb put up decent numbers in 2 playoff games, going 1-1 with a 3.46 ERA in 13 innings. The Diamondbacks will get swept by the division rival Colorado Rockies in the NLCS. In 2008, Webb once again went on a tear and started the season with 9 straight wins, becoming the first pitcher since 1985 to achieve this feat. Brandon Webb became an All-Star for the third and final time in his career. At the All-Star break, Webb stood at 13-4 with an ERA of 3.21 and a WHIP of 1.13. Webb would go on to nearly double his win total as he finished with a league-leading 22 wins, a 3.30 ERA, 183 strikeouts, and pitched in 226 and 2/3 innings. Brandon Webb finished runner-up in the NL Cy Young voting for the second consecutive time, this time losing to Tim Lincecum of the San Francisco Giants. In 2009, Brandon Webb would start as the opening day pitcher against the Colorado Rockies. His first start would not go well as he was blown up for 6 runs in 4 innings. This would end up being Brandon Webb's final Major League Baseball game of his career. Webb would miss the rest of the 2009 season. He had shoulder surgery on August 3rd, 2009. After the 2009 season, the Diamondbacks would pick up Webb's $8.5 million option for 2010. Webb would once again spend the entire year on the disabled list and did not appear in any games in 2010. At the conclusion of the 2010 season, Webb would become a free agent. On December 26, 2010, he signed a 1-year deal with the Texas Rangers, hoping to attempt a comeback. In 2011, Brandon Webb would make his first pitching appearance in over 2 years in the minor leagues. In 3 1/3 innings, Brandon Webb gave up 5 runs on 8 hits. On July 24th, Webb would once again go under the knife and underwent a second rotator cuff surgery that would sideline him until the 2012 season. Brandon Webb would end all comeback attempts and officially retired on February 4th, 2013. Although we will never know how good Brandon Webb would have been had he never been injured, we can appreciate what he did for the Arizona Diamondbacks and baseball fans alike. It is very possible that had he not been injured, he could have been a Hall of Famer, but we will never know for sure what the rest of his career would have looked like. Injuries, especially those that include the shoulder, can almost become a death sentence for pitchers. Nowadays, with the advancements of medical technology, pitchers have a better fighting chance at being able to return to form in some capacity, but unfortunately, Brandon Webb was robbed of that opportunity. In his prime, Brandon Webb was one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and we can look back at his career fondly, knowing that he was among the greatest pitchers in Arizona Diamondbacks history. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you have any other suggestions for future videos, leave it in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.